Before we get into this video, I want to show you something that maybe you haven't thought about. These are shoes. More specifically, these are Jordan Retro 6s. A great pair of shoes to many, a great pair of shoes to me. They're stylish and comfortable. If you would ask somebody what these shoes are made out of, they would respond without hesitation. Leather. Well, what makes up the tongue? That's rubber. But these are shoes as well. Specifically, Balenciaga Arenas. Ask somebody what their pair of Balenciaga Arenas are made out of. You'll get the response, distressed lambskin. So what do shoes have to do with an Italian motorcycle manufacturer? Well, let me give you an example that might sound more similar to the topic at hand. You're walking through a parking lot and see a beautiful red Nissan GTR parked ahead of you. As the owner exits the car, you say to him, "Wow, what a beautiful car. What color is it?" Surely he'd respond quickly, red. If he really is passionate and wants to be technical, he can say it's solid red. There's nothing wrong with that. The GTR is a beautiful and beastly vehicle, and the red suits it nicely. But then a Ferrari 488 Pista parks next to him in a gorgeous shade of red. As the owner exits, you ask, "What a beautiful car. What color is it?" He smiles and responds easily, "Rosso Scuderia." Exotic. Italian flair. Passion is what it is. Two pairs of shoes of similar material. One is leather and another is distressed lambskin. Two cars of similar shades, but one is solid red and another is Rosso Scuderia. In a nutshell, this is Ducati. Jordan Retro 6s are a great shoe. Nissan GTRs are a great car. And this Yamaha R6 you're currently looking at is a great bike. But this is a Ducati, a Panigale, a Super Quattro-powered, Desmo-valved, single-sided swing-armed work of passionate Italian art. The feeling of owning this bike, of riding this bike, it cannot be explained or understood by those who don't understand. What makes a pair of shoes $600 when a $180 pair does the same job? What makes a car $330,000 when a car around $100,000, in some cases less, can hold its pace and match its performance? The answer to that rests within some of us and is illogical to others. The passion, the character, the charm, and the exotic flair. To some that is priceless, to others it is worthless. But what is riding and why do we ride? In countries such as my own, the United States, it's an often impractical mode of transportation compared to cars. Most of us ride for one reason alone: passion. Hopefully this video can give insight to the logical people who don't purchase based on passion. And with that thought in mind, we can carry on with the video. With all of that being said, the number one reason Ducatis cost so much money is passion. You know, when they build them, they're passionate about them, and the riders who ride them are passionate about them. Think about, for example, a Honda. When I think of a Honda motorcycle, I think of a motorcycle that's very utilitarian, point A to point B. And now I understand they have like the Fireblade SP and some of their crazier bikes, but Honda motorcycles in general, I just think of like very reliable utilitarian bikes. But what do you think of when you hear Ducati? You know, you think of exotic Italian bikes, race bikes, quirky bikes. You think of twins, all these different things that just, the company is based around passion. Now, since these bikes are built with passion and they're built to a certain standard, they're a lot more exclusive than bikes from big makers. You know, Ducati makes far fewer bikes than a company like Yamaha or Honda. For example, in 2019, Ducati made 53,183 motorcycles. Now compare that to Yamaha. Yamaha sold over 5 million motorcycles in 2019. 5,053,000. I mean, you could see the huge difference there. Ducatis are just built to, I would say, a higher standard, or built with more care and passion than something that's mass-produced, such as a Yamaha. And now, just to go back to the point I was making about comparing Ducatis and Hondas, in 2018, Honda sold over 20 million motorcycles. And Ducati, you know, they sell around 50,000 yearly now, and they're selling more now than they ever have. So that puts into perspective what I mean when I say Ducatis are very exclusive bikes compared to the regular bikes that you're going to see on the road. So another reason Ducatis are so expensive is their heritage. You know, Ducati started out as a radio company, and then they went into motorized bicycles and now obviously motorcycles. They have tons of racing victories under their belt. They just have this long heritage of winning these races and all these interesting bikes they've made over the years, and all of their different quirks like the desmodromic valves and how they've always used twin engines for the most part, the L-twin you could say. But now granted, companies like Yamaha and Honda, yeah, they have a lot of wins in things like MotoGP and stuff of that nature. They do have a lot of victories, but they're also powerhouse companies that could just throw tons of money. Like for Ducati to win a racing championship, it's a lot more of a feat than for a company like Honda or Yamaha who have unlimited resources. But long story short, Ducati just has this great heritage, and I'll be speaking of that in an upcoming video. Okay, so aside from passion, the real meat and potatoes of this video that I want to talk about is the components that Ducati uses. A lot of people just say, you know, Ducatis are overpriced, and people say, oh, they're like the Harley of the sport bike world, which no offense to Harley riders, because I like all bikes. Harleys are okay. But the thing with Harleys is, let's just think, like, take any Harley in the $20,000 to $30,000 bracket and compare it to a Ducati X Diavel. It's not even a comparison. Like, Harleys are charging you so much money, but they don't really have the components and the electronics and the technology to back it up. Whereas Ducati is charging you so much money, but you get what you pay for. Like, people say, oh, the V2, why would you pay the money for the V2 when you could get a base model R1 for the same price? But what you gotta understand is, the thing that makes the R1 so expensive, it's not really the motor and the power, it's the components that they use. Like, for example, you know, this V2 that's sitting behind me, it has Brembo calipers, Showa front forks, a Sachs rear, single-sided swing arm, obviously. The TFT dash is one of the best dashes on the market, period. You know, maybe second to the new BMW, but it's definitely up there in the top. It has a steering stabilizer. You know, it has everything you could ask for. And on top of that all, it has the technology, you know. It has a 6-axis IMU, so it has lean-sensitive ABS, a lean-sensitive quick shifter, also a down auto blipper. It has wheelie control, adjustable engine braking, power modes, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it has everything. Like, this bike is fully loaded, and it's a mid-tier bike, and you're getting the Ducati brand name. So yeah, it costs the same as an R1. People say, oh, it's overpriced, but you know, that doesn't sound overpriced to me. That sounds like a fair deal. Add to that you got the character of the twin, and that's just something else that I think Ducatis really succeed at, is they have a lot of character that other bikes don't have. Like, this twin, not only does it have low end torque, and it kind of like chugs around, it feels like the bike is alive, and that's something that you're not going to get out of a Japanese sport bike. But guys, we're just going to come into the end of this video with my personal favorite thing, and it's the design. I mean, this bike is stunning. Like, yeah, I would say Yamaha, the R6 and the R1, they're great looking sport bikes, but I really just don't think that, in my eyes, they compare to this. To me, this is the most beautiful bike on the market right now. And you got things like the BMW S1000, also a gorgeous bike, but again, you know, talk about why are Ducatis so expensive? Well, so are BMWs. So that's really not even a contender to mention in this video, because I'm telling you why Ducatis are so expensive. And you look at the design of this, it's easy to see why. I mean, from the single-sided swing arm and the lights, everything about it is just so beautiful and elegant and clean. It really is the Ferrari of motorcycles. But anyhow, I just really hope that this video helped those of you who think logical to think more passionate and understand why Ducatis do cost so much. And it's my personal opinion that they're worth it. I know a lot of people that own Ducatis usually tend to think that they're worth it, and that speaks a lot, you know. I don't think there's a ton of riders who get Ducatis and then just say, oh, I'm never owning a Ducati again, this wasn't worth it. Now, of course, there's a few, and Ducatis just aren't for them, or maybe they just had like a one-off experience with bad service or something, but it is my opinion that Ducatis are worth it, and I hope I could help you guys to understand why I think that. So if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give that like button a little finger action, and that subscribe button is right beside it. Speaking of which, I am almost at 1,000 subscribers, which was my goal. So if you guys could hit that, it would really help me out, and I'll really appreciate it. Thank you guys for checking out another one of my videos. With my personal favorite thing, and is the action, and you can hit that subscribe. What was I in the middle of saying? YouTube's ours. Fuck Harley. What's the next point? Okay.